Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Kristen Donnelly, one of the good doctors of Abbey Research. And we at Abbey Research are big believers that the secret to changing the world is curiosity and empathy. And in service to that, we do this wonderful video series where I essentially hoodwink really fascinating people into giving me a half an hour of their time so that we can learn a little bit about their lives. It's called Welcome to My World because that's really what we're trying to do, is just give spaces for all of us to learn a little bit more about somebody else who isn't us. And it's a incredible opportunity that I love it when people are willing to give me a little bit of their time, and I'm so honored. And today I am joined by Anna Tsui, who is a genius coach and international writer, speaker, and serial entrepreneur. I love serial entrepreneurs. She is the founder of the Intuitive Business School, and her best-selling book, Shadow Magic: Turn Your Fear into Fuel and Create a Prosperous Coaching Business, shows readers how to overcome their personal self-sabotage and build a thriving career and business. My gosh, personal self-sabotage is a thing for sure. So Anna, thank you so much for joining me.
Dr. Donnelly, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh. I would love to start with this idea of an intuitive business school. Can you unpack how'd that come about? How'd you found that? Like, what's the story?
Oh, that actually is a great question. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. And like you said, serial entrepreneurs, we're awesome. And we also kind of have a sickness, right? We're just like, how can I change the world and bring on so much work and pain and suffering for myself? And that was definitely the mentality I had when I was doing my businesses. And long story short, I was actually in Beijing doing a health tech startup that got some funding, and we were hiring a team. And then my grandparents, who were living in the US, they got really sick. And I'm an immigrant, right? I come from an immigrant family. I wasn't born in this country. I wasn't born in the US. And I basically had to be the caretaker for both grandparents as they were basically going through cancer treatments and actively dying, right? And managing all of the family stuff in between. And then I realized that I had to start a business so that I could basically make my own time to spend this precious time with my grandparents. And through the years, I've been coaching for about 8, 9 years now. I learned a lot of business. I learned a lot of strategy. And the thing was, I knew everything that I had to do, but still I wasn't doing the thing, right? The self-sabotage.
I
And I
mean,
was
man,
like,
is that not the story? Like, that's the thing.
right?
Like, I know how to change my life. I just don't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone knows. So here's
everyone
the thing.
knows. Yeah.
But the thing is, we still binge on knowledge, right? And the clients I was
Mm.
working with, I was like, you don't need me to tell you, you already know this. And I was like, what is the deeper thing here? And I found for me personally, it was, yes, self-sabotage, which led me to unpack a lot of this self-sabotage work, right? A lot of stories from when I was younger about money, about self-worth, about being visible. That was a huge thing. But also, I feel like deep down, intuitively, a lot of people don't create the business that they really want to create, right? They're kind of doing the thing that they think will make money or that the world needs or whatever, and that actually takes us profoundly away from our deep genius, which is how I kind of fell into the genius work because I was deeply frustrated.
Yeah, there's so many things there. When you were talking about like that we do things we think the world needs, but not something that we deeply want, I'm reminded of the Parker Palmer quote where the calling upon your life is where your deepest passion meets the world's deepest need.
Mm,
And so many of us who I think are innately servant oriented focus so much on that second bit. And we don't stop to think about, okay, what is my deepest joy? What is the thing that makes me the most happy? Nor do we allow that to evolve
yes.
as the world goes through. Is that something you've discovered you've
Oh
seen
yeah,
too?
you said
Okay.
it perfectly because that's actually part of your genius. It's I call it almost like a soul obsession. It's the thing that just kind of keeps on churning inside you. So for me, I'm really obsessed with learning about the esoteric things, energy, the deeper truth, spirituality. You couldn't pay me enough, right? I just naturally, that's what I put all my time and money in.
Love
And I
it.
never thought it would be a job or a career or
Okay.
anything that would make me money, but it's a deep obsession. Sometimes people, it's, gardening. It's like building something, right? But we all have these kind of soul obsessions. And I'm sure you have, we were just talking about this. You probably have a few soul obsessions.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the often the dog from Up, where like another thing comes and it's like, oh, I could learn more about that. Yeah, I think my sole obsession is helping people understand the world in a different way.
Yeah.
And so so that means I have to understand the world in a different way. So I chase that constantly, the learning and unlearning process. And we were saying offline that as we record this, we're sitting in Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month here in the United States. And what I have been consistently convicted of is how little I understand about the Asian American immigrant experience on the West Coast of the United States. That there's whole chunks of immigrant stories that I just was not taught, didn't know about. And I'm very grateful for folks who have written their stories down, who have created documentaries, who are producing content right now so that I can learn more. Because yeah, my sole obsession is rabid curiosity to the point where often I will sacrifice sleep to answer my questions. And that's it. So when we talk about energy, I want to bring that back to that, because this is where I struggle a lot, is the chase of my soul passion with not being like a burned out husk of a human in chasing my soul passion. And when you said energy, something ticked in my brain where I said, oh, I wonder if I'm not managing my energy correctly, or if I don't have a proper relationship with my energy. Am I far off? Is there something about my understanding of my energy in that process?
So what about you doing your soul obsession, right? What about that becomes draining? Because typically the soul obsession gives us energy, but of course, like we can do too much. And that's the part when it becomes draining. For you, when does it become draining?
It only becomes draining when I don't sleep. But at the same time, like I'm really, really energized by doing it. I can just feel in my body, like but I can feel in my body that like, oh girl, you gotta stop for a minute. Like your joints hurt and you're not eating right. But like I would spend every ounce of my energy chasing this passion, which is how I know, like you just said, that it's it. But I guess I don't know how to regulate. I guess I don't know how to regulate.
Yeah, so it's almost like your genius is like lightning that's just like on the loose,
Just all
right?
over the
It's
place.
like
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when you can actually just bring that down and maybe like light a light bulb, it becomes electricity. It can be managed and controlled and actually really valuable and really useful. So actually that I would actually point at that operating system where you can't get enough and you have so much and you feel like you need to, that feels like a shadow to me. That feels like an operating system that just throws your genius out of balance, right? So the shadows that we have, they're unconscious parts of us that we've just learned how to be and how to do. Most of us operate on shadow, and everyone who reads a book, their biggest comeback to me is like, Anna, I didn't realize how much of my business was being run by my shadows, my unconscious fears, my limiting beliefs, right? And I'm not saying that this is necessarily a limiting belief for you, but
no, but it might be. So keep talking. I'm fascinated.
If we feel into the energy of it, so that kind of soul obsession, like I want to learn, I want, it's energizing, right?
Right.
And then there's a part that a shadow comes in and it just brings it out of balance. It makes it too much. It makes it unhealthy. It makes it kind of obsessive. So when I talk about soul obsession, it's kind of like a good thing. But when you get kind of like obsessed and it controls you, that's when it gets kind of And so you might want to look at that. What do you think that is? That part of your operating system that's like, I need more, I can't have enough, or I must do more. Or, that's usually when people kind of get imbalanced.
That makes so much sense. Cause yeah, I joke that it's my Alexander Hamilton complex that I'm constantly writing like I'm running out of time. And obviously I would not like to have his life. So there's, he's a great cautionary tale for high functioning anxiety folks. But so much of it for me is that I do that. I get that imbalance when I forget that I'm not alone in this work. So like when I take on mentally too much, that I have this overinflated sense of not like ego or importance, but I have removed myself from the balance of all of the people on the planet who are moving us forward into equity and justice. And I start to panic that I'm not doing enough and like I'm not holding up my part. But that's all an internal thing. No one else has said that to me.
Right. So that's really important. You just said it. So that thought, I'm not doing enough. When you think that thought, what happens to your body? What happens to your energy?
I start to panic instead of, okay. So
that's it.
It's another imbalanced energy response.
Yeah. And it's probably something that I would take a guess that you probably do a lot. You probably do a lot for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, when we're running from it in terms of love, it's like, oh, I love to do this for you, right? Like it makes me so happy. And on the other side of that, which everyone has, we all have these like different sides, right? Yeah. The shadow side of that is, I'm not doing enough. I need to do it all on my own, right? So that when that kicks in, when that thought kicks in, that's when I got to take a breath. probably should take a walk.
I love it.
Maybe get some sleep.
So as you work with your clients, which I just got free counseling, thank you so much. But as you work with your clients and you have like basket cases like me, what are the taking a walk, the taking a breath, when we're starting to feel that living in our shadow self instead of our passion self, what are some of the ways we can bring our energy back into alignment?
Oh, that is a great question, because you can feel it. So I love that. And thank you just for being open to having that conversation, because you can feel the energy, right? When it gets kind of like, ugh, and then it kind of turns into overdrive. And this is what really happens to a lot of high performing, high functional people, and also super empathetic. That's almost like a deadly cocktail for stress.
Oh, good to know. Oh, great. I feel good news. I'm screwed on all levels. Amazing.
Yes. So, and I understand, because I'm like that. And I'm like,
yeah, I think that's why we vibe. So our energies vibe so quickly. Yeah.
Why is it that some days I want to just take on the world and some days I just want to jump off a building? Why is that?
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
It's because that emotional, that superpower of being empathetic becomes a burden, because we don't do any self-care. We don't do enough self-care. And a lot of self-care comes with taking care of the physical body, but also the mental, emotional, and energetic. I was just on a call just right before this, and she was a person that is doing this like biochemical cutting edge trauma work that you heal through your body. It's called Body Talk, I think. Okay. And so this person has a lot of energy, other people's energy on her. And when you think about it, if there was a point when I was just really stressed out and I was like, I need to have kids. And I don't know why. I was in my 20s and I was like, I need to have kids. Why do I? And it was my parents and their worry about me having kids. And I still don't have kids, right? I'm in my 30s and I'm totally fine with that. My parents' energy was just like eating away at me. Their worry, their concern for me and what that means for me as a woman, right? All of their projections, it was actually affecting me. And I want everyone to know, if you're a sensitive person, if you're an empathic person, if you're an emotionally intelligent person or emotional person, you're probably feeling other people's stuff, and you need to actively take a break from that, right? You need to actually clean your energy. So I do something where it's like you actually just cut the cord. So you see the person in front of you and you're just like, let me cut the energetic cord that connects us. And all in love, right? So my mom can have her own energy. My clients can have their own energy. My haters can have their own energy, right? And I can just be in my own energy and it feels great. That is probably the most important energetic tool that you need for that. And I guarantee you, do it once, you'll feel the difference immediately. Do it every day. You'll be like, wow, I feel so much lighter. Right? And kids, if you have kids, their energy is all over you. You want them to be in their own energy and you want you to be in your own energy. That's the most important thing.
So is it, my very skeptical quasi burned out self is like, it can't just be that simple. So it can't just be that I make this decision. It can't just be that easy. And it's probably because my gut reaction is that, for a host of reasons, including that I've tried something I'm sure like it, but not emphatically enough, or I didn't do it as a practice.
Emphatic is important.
Okay.
Emphatic is super important, because the energy of, oh, can you do this for me? Or please, can you do this for me? It's a real, anyone who has kids, like, they know when you're being serious, okay? Yeah. Versus like, stop it. No, really, stop it. Yeah. It's very different. And it's the same. We can just see this in humans, right? We can see with when we, and coming from a coach, I know when someone is going to get their goal. I know it, because there's a conviction, there's a determination, there's a, yeah, I'm getting that goal. I'm going to work there no matter what, right? I'm making that money. I'm getting that client. There's an inner will that activates a whole different response from other people and from the world, versus, yeah, I need to treat myself better. I need to get other people's energy off me. I need to, be healthier. That's very different than a decision to do that. So you spot on that distinction, that determination is the key.
I'm fascinated by this so much, because energy work is something I am unfamiliar with and a bit amateur too. This is a newer conversation for me. Very, I've been a faith-based person my whole life. And so some of it is just literally using different words for ideas I've had forever. And to me, that's a big part of adulthood, is learning to use different words for things we believe, so that we can have deeper conversations with people instead of just pretending we believe different things. Usually we all believe the same things and we just use different words for them. Yes. And so energy is something I'm getting used to, and something that's very interesting to me. But I love what you said about the parent thing, because I'm not a parent, not doing the kid thing. But I've been in youth work for a long time. And teenagers are a special passion of mine. They're beautiful, ridiculous, messy selves. I love them. And it was such a difference when I was in youth work to looking at somebody and saying, like, please don't think about that, to looking at them and saying, if you do that, you will be in danger.
Yeah,
And
like that hit me.
if you do that, then you're making, and I, as I've grown up, I've become a lot more like, say a spade thing. Like, you can make that choice. God bless you. You have agency as a human. All of this data over here tells me that will be harmful for you. I
Oh
will
yeah.
love you through whatever decision you make, but I believe this will be harmful. And like, that I can still say that and be loving to people. So as you're talking about cutting that energy, when you said that about the parent, I was like, oh, then this way is still a loving act to this other person. I can still mentally love this person well, like you said. And I think that's where those of us who are very empathetic struggle. Because if I don't, but how do I then love this person if I set boundaries for myself?
Wow. I love my parents so much more now that I've kind of moved away and I do the energy work, because they're not all up in my stuff anymore and I'm not in their and it's just like, oh, I can be me. I can have my own beliefs. I
Yeah.
can do the things that I want to do without their energy here. And then I'm a whole person when I meet them. So in their craziness, and also I know I'm crazy, right? In our mutual craziness, I'm more whole and I have more fuel, right? And I have more of my cup is full. So I can actually interact with them from a place of love versus from a place of like exhaustion.
Yeah. Versus from a place of constantly being the shadow of who they want you to be.
Yes.
And I mean, so many kid parent relationships, adult children relationships, I think, drive back to that. And I know a lot of immigrant families, I've heard that consistently, that there's a different dynamic than those of us who are not immigrant families. I'm third generation, so I'm very removed from that kind of energy that seems to pervade an immigrant community. Is that something that you've seen in your clients, like that there's a different kind of parent energy that you have to deal with depending on the subculture that they're in?
Absolutely. And the relationship with you and your parents' energy gets echoed with you and your business partners, right? With you and your family, with you and your clients. And
That
if
hurts.
I felt like my voice was never heard with my parents, which I don't know any immigrant kid who's like, my parents like heard me and saw me and respected me as a person. No, parents typically, right? Immigrant parents are about survival, even if you're
Yeah.
kind of wealthy, right? It's like,
No,
hey, you
all
want
of
to
immigration is about survival. Like, I was an
exactly.
incredibly privileged expat, and 80% of my life was still about survival, and I didn't have kids. So yes, it is.
Right. Yeah. So they're coming from that space. So it's not about you, being your best, right? It's like, are you doing well? Are you alive? And so if I have that relationship with them, now I'm here in my business, I might have a block around fully speaking my truth, right? I might have a block around talking about money, right? I might have a block really showing up, especially also as an introvert, right? Being seen and talking about the things that are important to me and really maybe even polarizing views, right? The things that are important for me to express in, in my genius. So a relationship with the parents definitely echoes with all of that. It's that energetics that keeps on multiplying if we don't make it conscious.
I, I could keep chasing that forever, but I want to go back to your use of the word genius, because I
Mm.
think that is a word that no one knows what to do with. So
Yes.
what is to you, what is it? What is genius? What does that mean?
Genius is who we really are innately. It's the natural way that we show up in the world, that we take in the world, that we process the truth. And it's almost always suppressed, hidden. It's the thing when you have a conversation with someone, let's say you have a conversation with a stranger, it's the stuff that you kind of really want to say, but because it's not polite or because you don't know this or whatever, you don't say it. But what happens is we do that in our whole lives, right? We do that with with people who pay us, right? We do that in our families. And it's not just like the things that we say, it's the experience of the world. So have you heard of Gay Hendricks? And he talks about zone of excellence and zone of genius.
Ish, but unpack it for anyone who hasn't.
Yeah. So zone of excellence is what you're really good at. So if I'm really good at, I don't know, Excel sheets or marketing strategy, right? I typically build a career in that. And that's my zone of excellence. But my zone of genius can be something like I see people's trauma and I help them heal it, right? Or my zone of genius can be I'm actually really good at curating people and events and bringing them together to have a transformative experience. It's kind of like an intangible thing that if you make your career about that, you're actually really fulfilled, and very few people can do the thing that you do. So there could be secretaries, right, who do the secretarial thing, but their zone of genius is mitigating conflict. And so people are like, I really want to, I'm getting chills. I don't know. Someone's listening and this is you, right? People are like, I love working with you. I don't know why. I need you. I need you. Right. And it's because her zone of genius is this. So that's, I don't know if that's a good explanation, but
No,
that's what I got.
I mean, I love that understanding. First of all, because like in the traditional understanding of the word genius, I tend to hate it. Like I hate because genius is a deification of people. Like Steve Jobs is a genius, and so therefore I can never.
Yeah, it's usually a male. It's a dude with a big head. It's all logic based.
And
Yes.
they're usually white. And it really, by using that word, it discounts all of either the abuse that they gave to other people. Like I think about Jeff Bezos a lot. Like his genius, sure, like he had some really good business instincts, but I don't think of his ability to run Amazon as a genius move. Whereas when you talk about genius, I love that because like my mother has an incredible genius for nurturing.
Oh yeah,
just somebody who all my entire life, everybody who has ever met her calls her mom. And like she still sends birthday cards to my college roommates. Like this, like that's just her. And she blows it off all the time. And she's like, well, everyone's
yes.
Like, I'm like, no. You are a unique alchemy of this. And I love the use of the word genius for that, because it doesn't deify people. It doesn't put them on a pedestal that no one can achieve. Instead, it centers them as nobody else like should do this in a certain way, like not exclusionary, but because you're not called to it. It's not natural. It's not your thing. It's not a goal to achieve. It's an energy to find and attract yourself to.
And if you put some confidence behind that, like your mom, right? And she comes from a different generation, of course, right? We all come from this experience that makes us like, puts us away from our genius. But what if she was like elevated for, oh my gosh, you are an amazing nurturer. Can you teach me how to do, right? So if that genius was given respect and clout and love and confidence, I mean, I'm just getting chills too, because that would be a different world. And we all have our genius, right? And that's the thing that we discount the most. I love what you said. Your mom's like, no, everyone's like that. No. Yeah. Our genius is the thing that we discount the most, but it's also the thing that people will actively value and pay money for. And, you know, like just to be in our energy when we're in our genius.
My God, what a dichotomy. So it's the thing that I blow off because I think it's common sense.
Yes.
And I don't understand why
everyone has it. Everyone can do this. It's not a big
deal. And yet it's the thing we can make a living doing. It's just, man, the brain is such a fun place.
Exactly. So fun.
So fun. My gracious, Anna, this has been an unbelievable conversation. I have so many things to chew on, and I know other folks will as well. Do you have any kind of parting thought processes for people who have heard this? This is all brand new information. And obviously, besides purchasing your book and following you on social media, like where should they start as they begin to explore this all?
Whoa. So coming back, I can't believe it's been 30 minutes. I feel like it's been 5 minutes. So this is an amazing conversation. I feel like we need to do a 5-hour version of this next time.
Yeah, not a problem at all. It's been 20, but I wanted to give you space to answer this piece of the question. So, but yeah, no, let's do like a 3-day mastermind. That sounds great. Let's keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. A big part of actually is just feeling the energy here. Okay. We do put a lot of emphasis on the logical mind, which I also love, right? Like I love the mind, but know that the mind is secondary to you experiencing and being in yourself. And so this, the energy from our talk, I think is really important just for people to notice, because that's how you open up to you experiencing energy. And then you'll realize, holy crap, I've been experiencing energy and playing with it my whole life, right? And I'm going to throw this word into this conversation and see what happens, right? I'm going to put this shirt on and see how I feel. That's all energy work. So that's a great place to start, is just to feel the energy between us here in this conversation. And then definitely find me on social media. I do free trainings all the time in my Intuitive Business School group. It's a free Facebook group. If you want to get the book, it's on Amazon and other places. And that's really about the shadow and the unconscious. So
Mm,
the book is kind of zen for people who like that. So totally get it. You can actually get half the book for free. If you go on my website, I think it's annatsui.com/book, and
okay.
you can download half of it for free. So I just love sharing the work, and you check it out if it feels good to you.
I love it. It's like baby steps to energy management. Like you can audition your new energized self in small ways that
Yeah.
won't feel like, oh, completely overwhelming.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's really interesting. I mean, everyone who's listening, watching is probably a nerd, right? So it's super interesting. Have fun with
Well,
it.
yes. And I think it's, I love nerds. Like we were talking offline about how we tend to always attract other nerds because we're just, I mean, to me, the definition of a nerd is somebody who is ultimately curious about things they don't understand and seek to continually increase their understanding. And you're
Yeah.
deeply passionate about usually one or two things. And because my husband's a massive video game nerd, but he's also a transportation nerd. And so he loves learning about how planes work.
So
Cool.
random.
Things I don't care about at all. Don't give a flying fig. But he is
No
so
pun intended.
so into it. And I'm just like, God bless you, babe. Go with God. Like it's
Yeah.
but I love that energy that he brings, that insatiable curiosity that he brings. And so many nerds are like that. That's what we do.
Yeah, and so nerds, look out for when it becomes out of balance,
Yes.
right? Look out for when you're like, I need to do this to prove something or whatever. Look out for that. My thing is, I love doing the learning and like all that stuff. But then the moment when I get this, it's a weird guilt feeling of like, I need to share this with everybody. I need to write this down. I need to record. I need to make sure that everyone gets this information. That's when I flip out, and that's when my energy totally shifts. And that's when I become just like this other person, and it's very draining, like you mentioned earlier, like very draining. So watch that spot where you fall off the edge.
Oh my gosh, what a great place to end on. Anna, thank you so much again. Everybody who has joined us for this, if you liked this conversation, please give it a thumbs up. The YouTube algorithm really does use it. And if you like this conversation, I have a whole lot more like it. So maybe give me a little subscription. That would be fantastic.
Give her the subscription. Subscribe now.
We want to be able to spread these conversations farther, and YouTube constantly makes that difficult. So the way to game their system is to subscribe and share as widely as you can. Getting in touch with Anna is really easy. All of her stuff will be below. If you like the work of the Good Doctors, we are all over the place, mostly on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, and all of those links are also below. Again, Anna, it has been an absolute honor. Can't wait to collaborate with you more in the future. This is the beginning of something really fun. And friends and neighbors, we will see you next time on Welcome to My World.